Welcome to Ask the Expert with noted radio host Steve Sleeper. Each week, Steve interviews entrepreneurs and professionals and shares their intriguing stories of success and service. Now, here's radio veteran Steve Sleeper.
Our guest today is attorney Dave Giddens, founding shareholder of Giddens and Gatton Law in Albuquerque, New Mexico. They specialize in bankruptcy law and represent individuals, couples, farmers, business owners, and creditors in solving issues related to debt and credit matters. I started by asking Dave about himself and his firm.
Well, I grew up in Kansas and moved to New Mexico out of law school. I practiced for 5 years in the southern part of New Mexico, where I learned that helping people is the most important part of practicing law. I moved to Albuquerque in 1987, worked for another firm for 10 years, where that firm at the time was probably the premier bankruptcy firm in New Mexico. In 1997, I left and I started my own firm. I worked by myself out of my house for a year. And then my wife, when I came home from a business trip, said, "Put your suitcase down. You got to get out of the house." And she took me and moved into this office building that I've been in since 1998. And over the years, we've grown during the period from 2008 to 2014. We actually got up as big as 6 attorneys, but our firm practices all things bankruptcy. We represent consumer debtors, business debtors, we represent banks, we represent credit unions, we represent agricultural lenders. We've got 4 attorneys currently and 2 paralegals, all primarily practicing in the area of bankruptcy. In addition to representing creditors and debtors, we also represent trustees and creditors committees and asset purchasers. If it has to do with bankruptcy, we do it. And we practice statewide throughout New Mexico. We also, from time to time, appear in the bankruptcy courts in Colorado, Arizona, Delaware, Kansas City. That's almost always representing creditors. Every client is unique. The mantra of this firm is we have no cookie cutter clients and no cookie cutter cases. We bring both our expertise and compassion to every case.
Okay, Dave, so tell me, what is bankruptcy?
Bankruptcy is a constitutionally recognized remedy that was created in the original Constitution. It's in Article 1, which creates the legislative powers. The founding fathers determined that having a uniform national bankruptcy law was important. And bankruptcy is a legitimate tool to help people obtain a fresh start in life and reorganize their finances. Those many clients who come to see us are ashamed. However, very few of them need to be ashamed. Because very few people get into financial trouble on purpose or irresponsibly. Most people get into financial trouble because of circumstances beyond their control, such as illness or divorce or job loss, which in the current economy is going to be a major issue in the near future. But bankruptcy allows the ordered restructuring of your financial affairs and allows protection for individuals of certain exempt property so that once your bankruptcy is complete, you are not destitute.
As we record this podcast episode, we're a couple of months into the COVID-19 crisis. So I got to ask, are you open during COVID-19, and how do we reach you?
We are open. However, under New Mexico's current version of its stay-at-home order, it's not clear if we are an essential business, and so we are working remotely, but we are open. The phones are being answered. Our phone number is 505-271-1053. Our website is www.giddenslaw.com.
So, will my case be delayed during this time?
It could be. We're available, and our technology is such that we can deal with emergency filings. In the current environment, because of some provisions that were included in the CARES Act and some of the other acts that were passed in response to the COVID-19 situation, for example, government-backed mortgages from Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, Federal Housing Administration, and those agencies. There's a moratorium right now. They can't foreclose. It's not a very long moratorium, but I anticipate it'll be extended unless the economy starts roaring as soon as we get reopened. But we have a backlog right now of more than 24 cases that are in process. Fortunately, none of them are emergencies, but I anticipate that we're going to be busy very soon.
What are the different types of bankruptcy?
Well, there's 4 kinds of bankruptcy overall. There's Chapter 7, which is for individuals or companies. There's Chapter 11 and a new subchapter 5 of Chapter 11 for small businesses. But Chapter 11 is business reorganization. It is available to both individuals and entities. The small business reorganization was available to businesses with debts less than $2.76 million, but the CARES Act expanded that actually to $7.5 million. And then there's Chapter 12, which is for family farmers and family fishermen. We don't have a lot of family fishermen in New Mexico. And then there's Chapter 13, which is a reorganization for individuals with regular income.
What is the process for filing for bankruptcy, and why do I need an attorney?
I'll answer your second question first. The bankruptcy code and the bankruptcy rules are complicated, and if you don't have an experienced bankruptcy attorney, it is very easy to run afoul of those rules, which could prevent you from receiving the discharge, which is what individuals need to get relief from debt, or it could also cause you to not properly claim your exemptions, and you would end up losing property that you might otherwise be able to keep. So having an attorney is very important. The process itself, we are working remotely right now, so we do a video conference. If we determine that bankruptcy is the best option for you, we send you a bankruptcy questionnaire, which for individual clients is done digitally, filled out online. Our business questionnaires still have to be done on paper. but they get scanned and sent back to us, and we put the stuff into our software, and then we make sure that you're eligible for the chapter we've chosen. We make sure that we've maximized the exemptions if you're an individual or a couple, and we make sure that none of the debts that you have will not be eligible for discharge. And if you have debts that are not dischargeable in bankruptcy, we make sure that you are aware of that. And then we can help you if you need making arrangements with the creditors who have non-dischargeable debts to work out payment plans with them.
Okay, so you mentioned that not all my debts are eliminated in bankruptcy. Why not? What are those debts?
All right. There's actually 23 different types of debts that are not dischargeable, but there's only a few that apply to most people. Most student loans are not dischargeable in bankruptcy. Most state, federal, and local taxes that are less than 3 years old are not dischargeable in bankruptcy. Alimony and child support are not dischargeable in bankruptcy. Debts that are related to an accident that you caused while driving under the influence are not dischargeable. Then the ones I just mentioned are all non-dischargeable without the creditor doing anything. And then there's another 3 types of debts that can be non-dischargeable. The first one is debts incurred by fraud. The second one is debts incurred by breach of fiduciary duty or embezzlement. And the third one is debts that you caused by a willful and malicious injury to another person or their property. The creditor in those 3 situations has to file a lawsuit in the bankruptcy court and convince the bankruptcy court that the debt should be non-dischargeable.
Will filing for bankruptcy stop the collection calls?
It will. Most creditors, they get it now. When I first started practicing years ago, the bankruptcy code was very new, but the automatic stay, which goes into effect upon the filing of the bankruptcy case, a notice of that is sent to every creditor, and it commands them to stop all actions to collect the debt without permission from the bankruptcy court.
Many thanks to attorney Dave Giddens for being on Ask the Expert today. A range of free bankruptcy consultation at GiddensLaw.com.
Thanks for listening to Ask the Expert with Steve Sleeper. Join us next time as entrepreneurs and professionals share their intriguing stories of success and service.